On this episode of the Star Trek Universe podcast, we are doing our Star Trek Picard countdown rewatch. Starting off with Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 2, Episode 9, The Measure of a Man. Right after this.
Welcome to the Star Trek Universe podcast. My name is Matthew Carroll.
I'm David C. Robertson.
What's up, Dave?
Man, I always forget how good this episode is.
Yeah. I've been having that experience with the entirety of TNG, honestly. We talk about it all the time, and I think my criticism stands of TNG. My biggest criticism of TNG is that you look at the first season and look at the last season. Okay, look at the second season and look at the last season, and the characters don't change that much. There's not enough character growth for my taste. That's why I love a show like Deep Space Nine more. But the thing that I'm going back and watching it, and really I haven't really intensely watched TNG as much as I have been lately since I was 15 or 13 or I don't know. And they really do dig into the characters. I mean, there's a reason I love this stuff. There's a reason I loved it as a kid. There's a reason I still love it. And it doesn't feel as dated as I was fearing it would.
Right. Some of that is because, Netflix is airing the HD remastered.
Absolutely. I was going to say, the remastered versions look amazing.
You want to know something really annoying, though?
What's that?
I didn't even know this was a thing. I watched the episode. It was clocked in. It was some 43, 45 minutes, something like that. On the Blu-ray, this episode, it has an extended edition that clocks in at like 57 minutes, where they add a whole bunch of other scenes.
Interesting.
Like stuff that you don't need, but I was looking at some of the descriptions for it, and it was just more character stuff where he's saying goodbye to different people, just more of that kind of stuff between him and the crew, stuff that you would expect to see if he were actually leaving Starfleet.
Yeah.
And leaving the ship. So
interesting. It's really cool that they filmed that stuff. It's cool that they gave it enough thought to film that stuff. When they're making it, that makes me feel really good. This episode particularly, but also just the other ones that I've been watching. I've watched about 6 or 7 episodes this week, kind of getting revved up for Picard. I have discovered a speed control for television you're watching on your computer, and I may be able to watch the entire series before Picard comes out.
That would be impressive.
And just slow down and watch the episodes I really want to see in regular time. But
the last time I did a rewatch of TNG, I literally just found someone who had posted every episode on YouTube.
Oh wow.
And they got taken down pretty quick, but I basically, they were up for a good 6 months, and I just, set YouTube on, almost double speed, and just watched it all.
Yeah, it sucks, because I realize that that's not the preferred way to consume it, but, just trying to get a good rewatch in before this show, I think that's going to be the way I have to do it. I just don't have time to watch it that slowly. So, Measure of a Man. Let's dive in. I think they did such a cool job in this episode of not, and it's very pertinent to the stuff we're talking about trying to prep for Picard, because not only is it a Data episode, it's really an intense Picard episode, and it's an intense Riker episode.
Now, let's jump into this synopsis real quick. Picard must prove Data is legally a sentient being with rights and freedoms under Federation law when transferred orders demand Data's reassignment for study and disassembly. I mean, that's pretty much it in a nutshell, man. That's it. And it is so much more interesting than that. To me, anyway.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just as the JAG officer in the final kind of speech of the episode says, she says, like, this case has dealt with metaphysics, and we've been dancing around the issue. It's just like, does Data have a soul? And then she's like, and the truth is, I don't know. Do I have a soul? The truth is, I don't know. Like, I love the, man, this episode more than anything else has made me feel, on the side of the android in that argument.
Yeah, man. And, you know, this episode starts to make me cry, like, several times. Like, I get choked up. I get choked up when, you know, he's leaving Starfleet. He pulls out the Tasha Yar hologram. I get choked up when he says that he doesn't want to explain it for the court because he promised he wouldn't. Like, and even, you know, Picard's gentle, you know, coaxing that in this case Tasha wouldn't mind. Like, oh my gosh, dude! Like, such good acting.
Well, and that moment is not only important to show that he has, and just to describe it, since we're not, there's a moment in the courtroom. They've made Riker is put on the opposite side of the case, so he has to, by law, accuse and try to convince everyone that Data needs to be disassembled, and that he's Starfleet property and nothing else. And so it's Riker versus Picard in the courtroom, and Riker makes a case of basically, this is a machine. Look, I can turn it off. Look, I can take its arm off, and it doesn't hurt it. It's not a man. And then Picard turns it around and shows all the kind of human points of Data, which one of which being his affection for Tasha Yar, and he has a hologram of Tasha Yar. And she says, why was she important to you? Why don't you have any pictures of any other crew members in your quarters? And he says, well, she meant something to me because we were intimate. And that's, well, he doesn't want to reveal that because he told Tasha he would not. And that in itself is more human to me, and like shows his moral character, that he's not just a computer that doesn't understand the desires of a dead woman. Like, he wants to respect the desires of Tasha Yar. And I thought that was really, really intriguing. It's like Data's a really easy android to love and to see as a human being, or not a human being, but as a soul, as something to be protected. But I fear that if we're at the beginning of this AI revolution or whatever, I'd be more on the side of Curtis Maddox, who is the man who wants to take apart Data. It's like, no, it's a robot. But I'm trying, you know, this episode really makes you wrestle with that question. And what it ends up, the real resolution of this episode is when he sits and talks to Guinan, and Guinan says, this is not about whether he's a man or not. This is about he wants to create Curtis Maddox wants to create an underclass of androids. Given the trailer, the most recent trailer for Picard, with all those androids in some sort of storage that look like Data type or soon type androids. Yeah. Given that and this episode, I went and like checked Curtis Maddox IMDb to see if he was in any of Picard. Like, I was like,
did you?
Yeah, I did. He's not, at least not revealed yet. But I was like, it would make absolute sense as a nod to this episode to make him the discoverer. Cause Data says at the end of this episode, I also, one of my favorite things about this episode was that Data doesn't immediately say no. He digs into the process. He's like, I understand why you would want to create more of me. I am dedicated to Starfleet. I want to help with your, I would love to help you create more of me that could help Starfleet, because I believe in the mission. So how are you going to do it? And then he says, oh, that's too dangerous. I'm not willing to submit. That's too dangerous.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
And to be clear, he does help Maddox in future episodes.
Oh, does he? Cool.
Like in Data's day, you see that he is keeping up correspondence with Maddox. Neat. He is recording logs of his life and sending them to Maddox.
That's Data's day?
Yeah, that's the episode, Data's day.
All right, I'm going to have to add that one to my rewatch.
I know, as well as the offspring for me, because they're also like, they bring up whether or not his rights as a sentient being should allow him to have parental rights over his quote unquote daughter, lol. And in that one as well, apparently, well, I don't say apparently, I say apparently, but I remember it. Picard acts as Data's advocate as well. I had not thought that was going to be such, I don't know. It's a rabbit hole, man, when you're talking about doing this countdown to Picard thing, because now I want to watch so much more.
Yeah, me too. We're trying to pick the episodes, which we should probably mention before we close out today, the ones that we're currently planning on doing, at least what the next one's going to be. We'll try to post a full list on our Facebook, Twitter, on our website or whatever. Do we have a website?
Wow, yeah, we do.
All right, our website. Yeah, so we'll post a full list as we update it, but we're going to be trying to watch as many of these as we can, and there's a few key episodes that we know we want to hit, like the Best of Both Worlds, Family, the one right after Best of Both Worlds, and Brothers, which I think is more about the lore and
that's where Picard is at home with Robert.
I think you might have that mixed up, actually.
Which one was that one called?
Yeah, Family. Yeah, we were talking about this the other day, and you had told me it was Brothers, but Brothers is actually the lore and Data. Family is the one right before Brothers, and it's about Picard going home.
There you go. That's what's wrong with me.
You finally figured it out. That one engram was out of place.
Oh no, there's plenty wrong with me.
No, that was the source though. That's something wrong in your source code. TNG built your source code, and like that one thing was flipped.
Yeah,
that one dip switch was flipped. Oh man. But no, yeah.
Well, I'm embarrassed. I don't deserve to be on a Star Trek podcast.
Because you had the one episode name wrong. But no, yeah, we're definitely going to be covering Best of Both Worlds and Family and Brothers. Those are all, but yeah, anyway, that's neither here nor there. We'll be posting a full list, but this is a great place to start, because I love Riker in this episode, because Riker takes joy in his work. He takes joy at being good. He is kind of a prideful man, and he has regret, but he still takes joy in being good at accusing Data of not being a real boy. He obviously has regret for it, but like in the moment where he looks up Data's schematics and finds the off switch, there's a flash of like pure like I win on his face. Like, I just won this argument. And then he, like, immediately goes, oh, right, I don't want to win this argument. But it's my duty to try.
A lot of people give Jonathan Frakes crap for his acting. I've been guilty of it myself, but he can come off as pretty wooden. He plays that scene and every scene in this episode really, really well.
Yeah, I'm completely in agreement.
Yeah, when he has that little flash of, ha-ha, and then, like, the immediate regret where he realizes, oh, my friend is going to be taken away and killed, probably. Like, I don't know, man. He did a really good job. He made me choke up a couple times. Yeah,
me too. Totally with you. Yeah, I really, really loved this episode, and so I love that. I love it. Had a little hint of the Data and Geordi relationship, which I feel like is, like you said, it sounds like they filmed more goodbyes for him, but they left.
They did.
It sounded like the one they left in was the Geordi and Data one, which I feel like, at least as a kid, I thought their relationship was incredibly important to me as a viewer.
They had more. They had more with Data and Geordi.
Oh yeah, neat.
Yeah.
Neat. I will have to go watch it. I just checked CBS, and it's the same length on CBS, so that's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, I did before we started recording. It's apparently only on the Blu-ray.
Okay. Yeah, that's how they get you.
One more reason to buy the Blu-ray.
Dave starring in his own nerd musical.
That's my daily life.
Oh, man. So, I thought this JAG officer, I don't know if she ever shows up again. I enjoyed the relationship she had with Picard. Mm-hmm. I love I feel like these days they don't give those sort of flirtatious, sexualized relationships to people that are that age anymore.
Yeah.
And I like it. I like that they're like, you know, Picard and her are both, I don't know, they're supposed to be in their 50s probably. Is that about right?
Yeah, I mean 40s, late 40s.
I think he was in his 40s, but the character was in his 50s, right? Am I wrong?
I don't think they ever said.
Well, I just remember I read it the other day that someone said that they hired him. They hired him in his 40s to play a guy in his 50s, and now he's in his 70s playing a guy in his 80s or something. Anyway, it was in some article I read the other day. I really don't know. But anyway, they look like they're about in their late 40s, early 50s, and they're just talking about getting it on. Basically, they're like, we had this contentious professional relationship, but man, we had some romance in our day, and how about we rekindle a little of that on the side while we fight over the fate of a new life form.
Yeah, I think all that goes out the window as soon as Data's existence comes into question. But, then they kind of come back after the meeting where he, offers to take her to dinner. I love their dialogue, though. He says, it's been 10 years, but seeing you again like this makes it seem like 50. If we weren't around all these people, do you know what I would like to do? She says, bust a chair across my teeth. He says, after that.
Yeah. Well, I think it goes out of the window for him. It doesn't for her. I feel like she's still hitting on him, even kind of during the trial. She's still got sort of a flirtatious thing going on, which is to me just evidence that she doesn't consider it that the stakes are not high for her. She doesn't consider him a sentient being.
I think at some point she does.
Yeah, at some point she does. For sure. By the end, I mean, she rules in his favor for a reason at the end, but
even Maddox starts calling him a he, and I'm like,
oh, you just called him a he. It's such a great. I'm so excited that he comes back. So,
who comes back?
Maddox. I didn't know.
I don't remember him coming back like in the flesh.
Oh, okay, he just corresponds.
Yeah, you just see that Data is staying true to his word and corresponding with him.
Man, that is cool. That is so cool that kept happening, and now they're making a series where in the future they apparently have, if they at least don't have Maddox's name on a building or something in the in all of this Android whatever, I'll be upset. I think he definitely needs a call out in the new series.
Maybe. I don't. So good. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I won't be upset if it's not there.
I just think it'd be a missed opportunity. I won't be upset, but
I try not to be a spoiled fan.
Oh, I try to be a spoiled fan all the time.
I mean, we have a Star Trek Picard show. I never thought we'd see proper Prime Universe again, so I'm just sort of like, you know what? All right.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's a really good point that I'm not, like I said, not gonna be upset. I'm just saying it'd be a missed opportunity.
I take my gruel and say, yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
I will never do that because I think that being not a spoiled fan, but just like having standards of what you expect is what holds their feet to the fire. It's why we're getting a Picard series. It's why when they made Discovery and they were like, oh, they want something that more ties in with the original. We let them know what we wanted, and then they did it. It's because of spoiled fandom. Like, there's a line where you're like, it's like Discovery. We have our problems with Discovery, but me and you still both enjoy it, We
enjoy it, yeah. But we're not, I don't feel like we're, ridiculously entitled.
Sure. Like that, like I said, there's a line, and I think we try to dance on that line, but I still am going to call out when I think there's something I want or something I think should be there. Like, I do think that it'd be really cool if Maddox gets a call out. It
would be really cool. That said, before I rewatched this episode, I would not have even thought of it. And I know that because I didn't.
Agreed. I totally agree. But that's the thing. Just rewatching, like, these guys who are making this show, I expect them to have a better familiarity with the material than I do,
Well, I'll say this, Matt. It brings a sense of order and stability to my universe to know that you're still a pompous ass.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
And a damn sexy man.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Never been so complimented as to be compared to Picard.
When she said that, I was like, yes.
So good. So good.
Oh.
Yeah.
I saved so many quotes from this episode.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Oh man, do you have the one about the Crucible? That's my favorite. Let's just dive into quotes. You want to get into quotes? I didn't write any down. I kind of just forgot we do that. We haven't done a content episode in a while, and I didn't write any quotes down.
That's okay.
I just watched and enjoyed.
I think I just wrote down the entire script.
We'll throw us some of the best. Throw us the best three.
I love this. Is Maddox reading from the book in Data's quarters? When in disgrace with fortune in men's eyes, I alone beweep my outcast state. Tell me, are these just words to you, or do you fathom the meaning? Data does not answer him. Data instead says, is it not customary to request permission before entering an individual's quarters? I loved that so much.
It's
because
so good.
he totally just walked into the guy to Data's quarters, just like, nope. We're not doing this.
Yeah, and started going through his stuff. I immediately. You were not you. It was not you alone, Data, that bewept your lowly state. I also was beweeping it because as soon as he walked in, I was like, "What are you doing? That's Data's stuff."
Yeah, man.
I love that in that question. Is it not customary to chime before entering whatever? I love that in that question he is answering the other question.
Yeah.
Those words do mean something to me. It's so effing good, man.
And this gave me chills when Guinan and Picard are talking, and Guinan says, consider that in the history of many worlds, there have always been disposable creatures. They do the dirty work. They do the work that no one else wants to do because it's too difficult or too hazardous. And an army of Datas, all disposable, you don't have to think about their welfare. You don't have to think about how they feel. Whole generations of disposable people. And Picard, the light bulb coming on, you're talking about slavery. She says, I think that's a little harsh. I don't think that's a little harsh. I think that's the truth. But that's a truth that we have obscured behind a comfortable, easy euphemism. Property. But that's not the issue at all, is it? Like, this, that whole conversation just...
Yeah, man.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. And it made me, her talking about an army of Datas all disposable, I just saw flashes of all those Datas, or all of those androids in the Picard trailer.
Yeah. This is a perfect, if this Picard show is going the way we think it's going, if the androids are as big a part of it as it seems to be based on that trailer, then this is a perfect episode to rewatch. It's just so great.
I don't expect them to get to everything or wrap up everything. They've said that they are planning 3 seasons of Picard.
Oh, neat. I wasn't sure about that. That's cool.
So, yeah, I expect to see some resolution to all of this in 3 seasons if Patrick makes it. I hate saying that, but, you know, he's getting kind of old.
Yeah, I think, as I said, I think they're making him out a little... He is old, don't get me wrong, but I think he's looking older in this series than he looks in real life.
Maybe.
I think they've actually, it seems to me that they've actually up-aged him a little bit.
You know what? And when I watched Logan, or when I first started seeing promotional materials for Logan, I was like, oh my God, I haven't seen Stewart in years. He looks so bad. And I was so happy to find out that they aged him up dramatically.
Yeah. And he kind of looks similar in this. And so that's why I'm thinking that he might have been up-aged just a little bit.
Yeah.
Shout out to Melinda M. Snodgrass.
Oh man,
she's the writer of this episode and others. So
you know that was her first television credit, though.
Really, man.
She is an attorney, or she was an attorney, and basically, see, this episode is one of those like serendipitous situations because they were looking for existing scripts because of the writer's strike, and her spec script was one of the existing scripts that they had passed over before. So
wow,
this episode got made because of the freaking writer's strike of 1988.
Wow, that's crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I everything that freaking Picard says to what's her face? I can't remember her name, Philippa.
Yeah.
Just, oh my gosh, during that last speech, like, I was on the verge of tears. Like, while he's, talking to Maddox, tell me, Commander, what is Data? I don't understand. What is he? A machine. Is he? Are you sure? Yes. You see, he's met 2 of your 3 criteria for sentience. So what if he meets the 3rd? Consciousness, and even the smallest degree. What is he then? I don't know. Do you? It's just like, oh. And then he does Philippa, Starfleet was founded to seek out new life. Well, there it sits, waiting. Like, it's so good.
How are we going to treat the new life once we find it?
You wanted a chance to make law. Well, here it is. Make it a good one.
It's like, and I don't, like you said, it's writer strike, so it's probably pretty close to what they wrote, what she originally wrote. And that's such good writing. And I can see this episode getting passed over because it's basically just people in a courtroom talking. Like, that's this episode. Like, this is that Onion video from 2009 when they were joking about Star Trek fans being upset there weren't enough big negotiations around round tables or whatever, like long tables of negotiations in the 2009 Star Trek. This is what they mean, and this is why. Like, this episode is why we love those. This is what to me this is at the heart of my love of Star Trek is these episodes where they really get into the moral implications of things and really dive deep. And I love it. I love it so much.
I do too. Now, Snodgrass says that she said on her blog that Roddenberry almost killed the story. She says, as to the issue of law in Gene's vision, he nearly killed the measure of a man because, according to Gene, there were no lawyers in the 24th century because if people had criminal intentions, they had their minds made right. I found that chilling. I also pointed out that you have contracts that have to be negotiated and conflicts of law between different legal systems and divorces, etc., etc. There was no way there would be no lawyers in the future.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's stuff like that that makes me I'm just so confused about Gene Roddenberry. And I know I get flack almost every time I say anything negative about Gene Roddenberry, but I say to you Trekkers, as Kirk has said to so many people on planets, your God is a lie. I'm not sure he actually ever said that, but it seems right, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sounds like it. Oh, man. So good. Such a great episode. I have not too much more to say, I guess. Any other trivia or anything that you want to point out?
Now, I think it's funny that apparently Marina Sirtis, who plays Troy, cited this as her favorite TNG episode because she's not in it. She was in the extended edition, but I doubt she's even seen that, probably.
It's her favorite. Like, it's her favorite. Why? Did she explain it just because that's what she said? And
she says it was perfect Star Trek, a riveting story, great performances, and a moral issue to think about. She said it was her favorite for all the right reasons.
Right. Did she
I just think it's funny
that she wasn't in
it? No. Okay, I acknowledged it, but she didn't.
That is very funny.
To my knowledge.
That is very, very funny.
Starbase 173, I don't know if you guys have noticed, it was a reuse of the model from Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. It was Regular 1. Also, that model has been reused over and over again. It was been reused since the motion picture. They flipped it upside down, and it was Regular 1. Like, the original model in motion picture was just an upside down Regular 1. And so that and they used it in DS9. It's been all over the place. Let's see. They mentioned the Daystrom Institute here for the first time. It was an homage to the character of Richard Daystrom from the original series episode, The Ultimate Computer.
Cool.
Let's see. This was the first time we saw the officers playing poker. It was also Data's first. It was Data's first game too.
That is really cool. That's such a big part of the series, and if I'm mistaken, it's the last shot of the series.
Well, the last shot of the series is the Enterprise flying off into a nebula, but yeah.
Well, right, but the last shot of the crew is them sitting down to play. Is Picard finally joining them for a game of poker?
Yeah,
which that's really cool. That's really cool. I mean, what a great episode. What a like foundational episode for like where this show goes and maybe even where Star Trek is still going.
Yeah, and here's some canon candy that might be pertinent to the oncoming Picard series.
Yeah.
Admiral Nakamura tells Picard that Starbase 173 has been established in response to disturbances along the Federation Romulan neutral zone, which were first referenced in the episode The Neutral Zone of TNG. Those disturbances are later revealed to be early attacks by the Borg.
Oh, wow. Wow. Neat.
Mm-hmm. And apparently in one of the restored scenes, Picard mentions serving aboard the USS Reliant, which means that he served on the Reliant as well as Pavel Chekhov, and that both of them also served on starships called Enterprise. So I would really like to go check out those restored scenes. I just need to get those Blu-rays.
Yeah, man, you absolutely do, and have me over to watch.
Yeah.
How much are they?
Oh, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Man, this freaking show. I love it. It's been it's been a show I've loved for a very long time. But I gotten over the whole like buying DVDs thing, but hearing that there's like longer scenes that sound like they're really cool, I'm like, I haven't wanted to really buy a physical media in probably 5 years. I just gave up the whole thing. I just don't buy physical media anymore. And now I'm like, maybe it's only $90.
Yeah, is that it? Did you look it up?
I'm looking at it. At least Next Generation Complete Series Blu-ray is $90. I don't know if it's the right one. I'd have to rely on you for more.
Yeah, I would have to dig into that and
find out which one we need to buy.
I can't imagine that they would change the transfers from the individual season Blu-ray sets to the complete series set, because it seems like that would be more money than it was worth.
Right. Probably. Check into that. Maybe one day we'll have enough ad revenue or Patreon support or something to buy them. So that we can cover them properly for the cast. Right. Guys?
Right. That's how that works.
Tell your friends about the show. Because we want to do more of this. Yeah, if you're digging what we're doing, like if you have Star Trek friends, tell them we're doing this Picard preparation watch, because I actually think it's going to be really fun and really useful for the Picard show. So if you're digging this, tell your friends to join us, because I'm pumped.
And please, if you enjoy the show, please rate and review us on Apple or whatever podcast app you've got. It's, important. It's important that people know that someone's listening and enjoying it.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, we appreciate you guys. We'll be back next week. What's our next episode?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm all afluster now, because I'm looking at stuff. I'm like, well, maybe we should look at Data's Day. Maybe we should, check out freaking Neutral Zone. Maybe I don't know what to do.
All right. Well, we decided we were starting here.
Yeah.
We started with Measure of Man. It's a great starting point. Looking forward, is there another one in season 2 or season 3 that you want to do? What's the next chronological episode you want to cover? I'm putting the ball completely in your hands right now.
All right.
We need to decide so we can pick everyone has a chance to watch it before our next episode.
To be decided. I have no idea. I would have to really just look and dig in, man.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to pick one that we're going to do next week.
Okay. We'll have another short trek next week as well.
Right. So we'll probably do this again next week, where we'll probably have 2 episodes next week too, which is awesome. We're getting back to it, man.
We're catching up, as we had like a month there where there was nothing. Right.
Well, it's been a dark time for content, so we've not been throwing them out there.
You want to just do the Neutral Zone?
Yeah, sure. That works for me. When is Neutral Zone? What season?
I think it was, let me see. I don't know. It may have been slightly before this.
Okay. I guess that's fine. We can go backwards. I was just trying to keep the show moving forward.
I know. I don't know, man. It's because I know we're doing Romulans. We're doing.
Yeah, we've got other things we've talked about doing. I've got them. The
Neutral Zone is the last episode of season 1.
Okay. It's so funny. One of the things that about shows with 22 episodes, there tends to be a lot of filler in those shows. Mm-hmm. And this one is no. We looked up a list of all the episodes to watch before Picard, and most of the episodes are finales or premieres. And I thought that was very funny because it's just like, yeah, that's just how these shows work. You have to fill them out with a lot of bullshit. And not that they're not bullshit I love, but like the meat of the character development happens in season premieres and season finales, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm down to jump back for this one and then probably move forward after that. So
absolutely.
Let's do Neutral Zone. Season 1, episode 22. 26. Damn, it's 25 on Netflix.
Oh, weird. I'm looking at Memory Alpha. I always just look at Memory Alpha.
Oh, maybe they count the first one as 2 episodes or something like that.
They do.
Yeah, I think on Encounter at Farpoint is 1 episode on Netflix. So that's the issue here. So the season finale of season 1, we're going to be covering Neutral Zone next week. All right, that sounds like a plan. We'll be back with you guys next week with Neutral Zone and another short trek. Super fun. Peace.
Live long and prosper, y'all.
To reach out to us, hit us up at StarTrekUcast.com, at Star Trek Ucast on Twitter, or search for the Star Trek Universe Podcast on Instagram or Facebook. And if you want to hear more from David C. Robertson, search for the DC On Screen podcast in your podcast app now, or go to maladjusted.tv for his comedy sketches. If you want to hear more from me, Matthew Carroll, search for the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast or the Orville Universe podcast in your podcast app, or check out my music. Just search for Matthew Carroll wherever you listen to music.